What is up, guys? Today we're gonna be doing something pretty easy, but you know, maybe you need to know how to do it. That is gonna be changing the brake pads on that baby. Wait, that one, which is a 2009 Harley Davidson Dyna Super Glide. So it'll work on your late gen. All late gen Dyna should be the same. So let's get into it. Let's see what it entails. I think we'll start on the front first. Let's get it done. Got this baby pulled out. There she is. This is my helper for today.
He beat the shit out of me.
Mr. Michael.
He hurt me so bad.
I didn't beat him up, I swear. But he does have a bloody nose, unfortunate. So I'm gonna charge this camera for a bit. We're gonna get all our tools out, get ready to go, work on this baby. Shut this door so all these weird shadows that are making him look like that go away.
I think that's just
and we'll get her done.
Bro.
We will get her done. See you in a second.
What? You know it's good. It's good for you.
Anyways, we got the goods. So we're gonna be using some Lindahl, I think that's how you say it, Gold Pluses, which are supposedly a little bit better than stock stopping power and don't create a lot of brake dust. But as far as the front goes, all you need is, you know, a ratchet. You need a 10 mil, and then I think you just need a 10 mil, but I have a big brake rotor, so it has these aftermarket bolts. So for me, it is a 5/16 Allen, but I think on the stock bike, it's all 10 mil. So should really just need a 10 mil, and probably you're gonna need a screwdriver, or I know some of them are Allens for taking off the master cap, but mine's just a Phillips. So that's all I'm gonna need. And then you might just want a flathead to punch these things out. Sometimes they're a little tough and they get stuck in there. So that should be all you need. We'll set up the camera and get it done. Alrighty. So first thing we're gonna do is take off the master cap. Reason you wanna do this is because, you know, putting in bigger, like in my case, I'm putting in probably a little bit meatier brake pads. It might offset the pistons a little more. So it might just take a little bit less fluid, and you just don't want to put that pressure on your seal. So in my case, I have an aftermarket cap. I got a thrashing cap, so I don't think I'm gonna have to deal with it because it doesn't have the big plunger in the middle that the stock cap has, and so I think it had a little bit of space. But on a stock one, you probably want to take it off, and you might want to get some fluid out of there. But you could just take it off while you put the pads in and then see how it acts, see if it goes up any. Just take note of where it's at right now and then where it's at once we put pads in it. Alrighty, so after you do that, you're going to want to hop down on the front caliper and take the two bolts off, which on a stock bike are going to be these two bolts. But you take two bolts off that are holding the caliper, break these suckers, and then just pull them off. And when you're done with it, just pull this caliper off and get it hanging, and just make sure it doesn't smack anything or mess anything up you don't want it to. Just be careful with that. This rotor is gonna make it. That sucks.
Oh, buddy.
Damn it!
Extra steps.
Alrighty, so we have a bit of a clearance issue with the big rotor. That's no good. So we're gonna drop this rotor off, pull it forward a little bit so we can get that off. Normally, not necessary. Special occasions for special bikes. But yeah, we'll drop this thing and then we should be able to drop the caliper. Perfect. Wow. So I didn't have to take it all the way off, but just had to get it enough so that it would angle out and give us some clearance. But boom, now you got your caliper. What do you do once you have your caliper? First thing you want to do just throw a 10 mil on there again. You're gonna need 12 point. At least that's what my bolt is. Don't know what to tell you. So you take this fella out, and it's tight as fuck, of course. So we gotta take out this brake pad bolt, but this thing's tight as could be. Normally, in my experience, they're not quite this tight.
Oh my gosh.
Hold that shit.
Dude.
Dude. Come on. You boss it up.
Hold on. Hold it like that. Alright. Easy peasy. See? It's just easy as that.
So you just easily take the bolt off. Alright, bro, you're good.
Alright, we good. Easily.
And you just slide this fella out. Once you get it out of all the threads, boom. Make sure you don't lose that one. Alright, then you want to try to push them out. Mine, you can see, they're not pushing out easily. So what I'm going to do is grab the screwdriver from wherever it is. We're going to put this thing on a flathead and just push them out. As a matter of fact, fuck that. We're gonna get a hammer. Alright, these things are being a little mean, so we're gonna just give it some love taps. And there you go. Uh-oh. She's a little stuck still, so we'll tap the other one out as well. Obviously, just try not to hit any of the housing of the actual caliper or anything. Just try to hit the pads to tap them out, you know. Don't want to mess nothing up. But just tap them out, and then if they're anything like mine, they'll be feisty. But once you get them out, like that, these ones actually have some good life left on them, but we want a little bit more stopping power. So we're gonna try out these better
less brake dust.
brake pads. So yeah, we're gonna out with the old, and I think it's these ones. Yep. Put these new fellas in there. All right. So since these brake pads are thick, we want to push these pistons in a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but they have little lips sticking out still. So I'm just gonna use a pry bar. Be careful and gentle with it, and just push them back where they're more flush with it. But don't push them too far, because I think if you do, you could break the seal on them. So just be careful about that. Quick interruption, because for some reason I didn't seem to mention it until later in the video, or we didn't film it on the front. But just a little tip that you should know is that you can put your old brake pads in there. That's what we ended up doing. Put the old brake pads in there, and then put the pry bar in there and push it to do the pistons, because that's a lot less chance of you damaging a piston, you doing that, than putting like a pry bar directly on the piston. So just an FYI, I showed it later in the video, but for some reason we forgot to film that part here, so now you know. All right, so once you slide the pads in, just make sure the little nubs, at least on these pads, are towards the side where the brake line hooks up. That's how those go. And then once you get them in there and they're lined up, you can then put your bolt in. And you can grab your 10 mil and just tighten it back up. So once you get that bolt in and it's all tightened up, you know, you want to make sure you shove your spacing. I do. I think it's wide enough to get over the rotor. So what I'm going to do is, on mine, I'm going to hold my rotor out, because that's how I got to do it. Normally you should just be able to slide it on there, but for me, I got to kind of get a funky angle at it, so I might have to work with it a little bit. There we go. So once you get it on there, then you're just going to want to get it to your mount. So whenever you get that caliper in place, You just want to throw your caliper bolts in. And then just tighten those down. And then the last thing we'll do after that is we'll go check the master cylinder. And in my case, I'm gonna tighten the rotor too, but once again, not something you should have to worry about if you have a stock bike. If you have a Harley 15-inch oversized rotor, front rotor, it'll be a problem. As you can see, we got some spillage of some fluid, so it definitely went up a little more and it spilled over the edge. But I think it kind of self-clearance itself. I'll probably soak up a little bit if I have to, but I'm just gonna throw this cap back on. If you need to, you know, you could just get a rag or preferably something that doesn't leave any particles, like maybe a paper towel, sort of shop towel. But just could soak a little bit up and make enough space to get your cap back on. So I'm gonna throw this sucker back on, and then I'll just build pressure in the front, make sure that everything's working nice, and fill it out, and then we'll be done with the front and we'll move on to the rear. Now we're gonna move on to the rear. So for this, you'll just need a 3/8, and you'll also need a T40 Torx bit and a ratchet. And then all you're gonna do is you're gonna take off these 2 bolts, and then that'll let the caliper loose. And then there's a bolt, I don't know if you can see it, but it's on the inside of the swing arm right here. And that just, if you take that out, it just gives you a little bit more slack in that line so that we can move it around a little bit. So I think I'm gonna take that off too. So yeah, we'll take it off right now, and then after that we could pop some new pads in and see how they feel. There's a clamp on there that'll stay on there, but you wanna make sure you have your little lock ring deal and of course your bolt. But after that, and these 2 are loose, as you can see, you should be able to slide this off the top of this caliper right here. I mean this rotor. Once you have this off, you'll see you just got this little bolt, which I don't know the size of it yet. I'll tell you in a second. Sadly, we figured out that whoever did these brake pads last, they destroyed the bolt head of whatever was in there, so I'm not sure what size it is. I was able to tap with a hammer a 1/4 inch over that, so that is how I'm gonna take it off, but obviously that bolt head's gonna be fucked up, so I'm gonna order a new bolt. I'm gonna just temporarily run it in and put a new bolt in there once one comes in the mail. Just so you know, these little piston cups could come out. I just took them out because they're gonna fall out because we had to do some fun stuff with this thing. But yeah, I'm gonna pull this bolt out, and then we'll throw the new pads on, throw it back in, and put everything back together, see how she works. Starts off with brake pads. Now it's on a fucking trailer. But the good news is it's on a trailer because we already fixed the problem. That bolt that was sheared, I had to get it welded out. It was not too nice. So let me show you that thing. I got the buddy, brought it over to a shop. Gary Curtis, great guy. Curtis Welding in Oxnard. Heavily good guy. And he, I don't know if you can see that, but welded a nut onto it and got it out. So let's pull this baby out the trailer. Let's get these rear brake pads done. This is a common theme of working on these motorcycles is things go awry, but let's get it done.
Day 7. The Intrepid Racer.
Oh God. 3, 2, 1.
Oh. A little more.
A little more.
Little more. Why does it stop? There we go.
All right.
Like the back tires, second rev or anything?
Dude.
That explains a lot.
All right. I've let go. I've let go. All right. Perfect. Oh God, that front is terrifying. Perfect timing for that to fall. Oh. There we go. Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Now that all that fun stuff's dealt with, we are gonna dive into this sucker. So I'm gonna cut this stuff that I put around it while I was transporting it off. Get all this, and let's get into it. Got everything. Let's do it. So you can slide these cups in. First and foremost, and then once you do that, just so you know, new bolt. It's gonna be, the size is a 1/4, but it's gotta be a 12 point. So gotta keep that in mind. But once you get that in, pretty much what you can do is you can get one of your brake pads. It's gonna be, whichever one goes on the outside, I just put on first. So this fella right here. Get that in spot. Get the other one in its spot, which you might have to do a little bit of the same thing you did on the front and push these pistons in and then slide them in, which it looks like I'm gonna have to do. So let me grab some stuff to do that, and we'll do that right now. So you might want to open your reservoir, or your rear master cylinder, I mean, for this brake to see your fluid. I already knew I was a little low, so that's fine. I had space to move it, but you might want to open that same as the front like we did. Now that we got this thing all opened up, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make these pistons go down a little bit. In doing that, we'll get a little bit more space for these pads. So something that I'll do to get that done is you can grab the old brake pads so that you're not messing nothing new up, and you could just stick them in there. And then you could use a flathead screwdriver. I'm gonna use, not that, I'm gonna use a pry bar like this. But pretty much you could just put the old pads in there, and you could get in there and just push it, and it'll bring that piston down. And you just put those old pads in there so that you're not messing anything up, and you're gonna throw them away anyway. So just make sure you get both sides, make sure they both go down, and give you enough space to get the new ones in. And then once you do that, I'm gonna grab your new brake pads, slide them on in there, get them on that little metal clip on the back, and you'll see them line up. Get both of those in there, lined up. Okay, and then once you do that, you can grab your brake pad bolt, and you just go in there, through there, and tighten her up. And then just remember, when you tighten this up, you're probably gonna wanna put some anti-seize on it. I don't have any right now. I'm gonna take it off later after I buy some and put some on there, but I would put some anti-seize on this bolt. And then you're gonna need a 12-point quarter. It could be a wrench, it could be a ratchet. I don't have a 12-point ratchet quarter, so I'm using a wrench. But yeah, just tighten this up. It doesn't need a, you don't need to kill it. It needs to get snugged up, and just give it a little turn to make sure it's on there tight, but you don't have to absolutely kill it or put a lot of torque on that thing. So it's gonna get really stuck from heating up and cooling down and heating up and cooling down. So just wanna get it on there good, and then after we do that, we'll be able to throw this thing back together. You're just gonna wanna get your caliper, position it on top, and just, you're gonna have to spread them a little bit. You're not gonna wanna sit exactly where you want, but you wanna get it over the caliper and slide them down. All right, and then once you slide it on there, most important thing, this is what I think a lot of people messed up. I read about it online. My cousin did this, so I know about it from him. But if you look right here, there's that little clip. And you look right there, that's the back of your brake pad, and it has to sit in that little clip or else it'll fall out. So you gotta make sure on the front and on the back side of this rotor that these ends of the brake pads are sliding into this little clip. But not too hard, just gotta make sure you do that. So once you get it on there, just slide it into place. Alrighty, we just got it slid on. Had to stop the camera. Takes a little bit of effort, but just make sure those two back are in, like I said, and you'll be good. Sometimes you just gotta wiggle it. There's also a clip in the actual caliper that the pads kind of sit in a little groove that you kind of gotta make sure it's in there right too. Very hard to show on camera, so I'm not even gonna try. But old ones are off, new ones are in. Now, all we gotta do is bolt it back together. So, if you remember, this bolt is going up here. Just gonna get these started. This fella is going down here. And then you're gonna have one more bolt, and that's gonna be the one that holds this brake line. But for now, we're gonna tighten these up, and then we'll get to that bolt, put the one that holds the brake line on, give it a test, and we should be all done. All right, got these bolts all tightened up. She's on there good. Now, I'm gonna get this fella, throw it in that clamp, and just tighten her back up in that hole that's in the back of the swing arm there. And then we'll give her a test. See how she feels. Alrighty, when you're all done, you wanna test this thing, but don't test it going 100 miles per hour. Like right now, we'll just do a little test right here. I'll just get going a little bit, make sure they work, just to see they work at a basic level, and then, you know, take it out on the street. Ride slow at first and just make sure everything's working good before you start getting up to speed, but we'll just do a little test right here on this concrete and make sure they work. Everything's working good. So tested the front, felt the front a little bit, made sure they grabbed, made sure my back grabbed. Sometimes when you mess with brakes, especially when you're moving pistons and stuff, you might have a little bit of like give when you first give it. So you might want to just pump your brakes a little bit, make sure everything's pressurized, make sure it's all good, but that's all there is to it. Thank you guys. Have a most excellent day.
Hi, Annie.